Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Town of Lexington Board of Zoning Appeals meeting. This meeting is being broadcast live on the Town of Lexington's YouTube channel. This board is comprised of town citizens. We are appointed by the Town Council and we serve without pay. We are a legal board operating under the Comprehensive Planning Act of the state of South Carolina. Although this meeting may not seem as formal as a hearing in court, all statements must be true, factual, and made in a manner not to mislead us. Please understand, we must make our decisions within the parameters of state law. State law requires us to grant a variance if and only if we find each of the following four statements true. Number one, there are extraordinary and exceptional conditions pertaining to the particular piece of property in question because of its size, shape, or topography. Number two, these conditions do not generally apply to other property in the vicinity. Number three, because of these conditions, the application of the ordinance to a particular piece of property would effectively prohibit or unreasonably restrict the utilization of the property. Number four, the authorization of the variance will not be of substantial detriment to the adjacent property or the public good, and the character of the district will not be harmed by granting of this variance. Moreover, state law prohibits us from granting a variance simply because the property could be used more profitably if the variance were granted. We are not concerned with the use of the property. The use of the property is determined by others. We ask that you please confine your statements or your remarks to the issue at hand. Should we make a decision that you believe is incorrect, you may appeal our decision to the circuit court within a certain time limits provided by state law. In such case, an appeal is made. It is important for the circuit court to know who testified at this meeting. Please sign in and identify yourself before speaking. Thank you very much. We'll call the meeting to order. John, our first variance request, please.
Thank you.
Actually, can we do 1 and 2?
That's what I was just going to say. I'd like to try and make this a little simpler because they're basically the same request on different ends of the street. We put it on your agenda as two separate requests.
Does the applicant have a problem if we look at them as a single decision?
I prefer that.
Thank you.
We put it on your agenda as two separate variances and two separate applications and everything in order for it to track with the parcel. But they're essentially the same requests.
Okay.
So Mr. Phil Mabry with Power Engineering has requested two variances from the front yard setback at lot 46 and lot 25 in the Nightingale Hill subdivision. The subdivision was approved by the Planning Commission with protected residential zoning, which requires a 30-foot front yard setback. They're asking to reduce the setback on these two lots so a house with a two-car garage can be constructed on the sites.
Okay. We'd like to hear from the applicant, please.
Good afternoon. My name's Phil Mabry. I'm representing Power Engineering. So we developed the Nightingale Hills subdivision in the town of Lexington. I believe it's around 60 lots or so. And we've got two lots that we're requesting the variance on to reduce the setback from 30 to 20 so that we can fit a two-car garage. The reason for this is because the rest of the neighborhood is going to have two-car garages, and aesthetically we think it would look better to have the same product throughout the whole neighborhood. We don't want to have the same product and then you look at the next lot over and it's almost like a tiny home. That's the only product currently that will fit on those, so that's kind of where we are.
Okay. Any questions for the applicant?
And we do have a representative from the builder if there's questions pertaining to that.
Okay. Personally, I'm looking at these, so I see site work has begun.
That's right.
Are these the drawings that were submitted in your package? Is this still pretty much representative of where you are, or have you started building houses yet? Or
so I'm not sure what you've got.
These were dated 2/23/24.
Is that the GIS?
I assume so.
Yes, I think so.
Yeah, so we have not started building anything on that upper road. Either of those cul-de-sacs, there's nothing built yet.
Okay.
We have started building down below probably 8 or 10 homes.
When did you realize that these two properties were going to be a problem?
Once we did the lot fit, so us as a developer does a lot fit with the builder. And once we did that walk, we realized that the certain product that they would like to put there would not fit. The reason being, normally we would have caught this during the engineering process. The reason being that we didn't was because of we put what we call drainage swales in the back of these lots to try to get them drained towards the road. So on those particular cul-de-sac lots, we can't get drainage. We can't push the house further back, obeying by the 30-foot setback.
Was this what was put in front of, I'm assuming, John, I'm asking, did this go in front of the planning commission?
The subdivision, yes, as it's laid out, yes.
Okay.
So how big of a tiny home? I have a feeling that's a little exaggerative.
Right. I just, wanted to get a visual. You're going from, and I'm not sure square footage wise if Nick wants to speak on that. But essentially it's going to be a 2-car garage home versus a 1-car garage. And that 1-car garage product, if I'm not mistaken, is a real skinny, narrow home. And it would just, in our opinion, look funny compared to the rest of the houses in this subdivision.
Is it all one house plan for the whole subdivision, or are there multiple house
I think
plans?
there's multiple ones, but I'm not positive. But they
Five house
have
plans, he
different
says.
plans,
Okay.
But those are all 2-car. Right.
Okay.
Do we need to, since he answered, do we need to get his name on?
I believe he signed the signing.
Okay, all right, just want to make sure. I don't, to be honest, and I'm going to just be candid with you, I don't see a reason for either of these variances at the stage that this is right now. This is lines on paper. I'm not a surveyor. I'm not an engineer, a civil engineer from this standpoint. What's been presented to me, and I'm only speaking for me.
Right.
And we can still discuss, the three of us can still discuss it, but I think that maybe it sounds a little too much like we need this so we can put a bigger house on it, and that is not our concern.
Right. I understand.
That is not what we address. There's nothing, again, I don't know the topography. I take your word for it with the swales, but I do see 2 big, large lots on the other side. And, again, I'm not a developer. I don't know how to lay it out, but.
Not to interrupt you, but if you look, it's kind of hard to see, at least on my printout. I'm not sure if you've got a color copy or not.
Which lot are we looking at, 735 or 816?
Either one in this case, but you've got that front line is highlighted in orange. Do you see that? That is.
I don't have orange. I have blue.
Yeah, I've got
I have blue line. Come up here and point at these for me, please.
Okay, so if you're looking at, this should be in your agenda.
Yeah.
This is our engineering plan.
Oh, this, okay.
Right.
On here, okay.
So we've got, the orange is what we're proposing. That's a 20-foot front setback, and the black is the 30. So if you look at it in line with the other homes, it doesn't, aesthetically seem, if y'all were to grant us the 20-foot setback, it doesn't push the home up to the road. But the way these cul-de-sacs are designed, it's hard for us, that 30-foot really pushes that home on those 2 lots back. Does
So
that
can
make
you?
sense with what I'm saying?
It does. Can you go wider? Because that was one of the things that I noticed was the lot beside it was larger.
Right.
Could we not go wider to accommodate?
We could, but then we would have to go back through and do a change of plat, which gets kind of complicated, but, and I guess that is a.
Thank you.
Okay.
That's okay. And I don't mean to be rude, but that again, I understand the complication of it, but it's not you're asking us to fix a problem that's come up that's not unfixable.
Right.
There is a path that you can fix this. Me giving you a variance for 2 lots, again, I'm only speaking for me. We haven't had any discussion
Right.
on it. So maybe that's where we should go. Do you want to add anything before we have our discussion? Up here, please.
The only thing that I would add, and thank you all for your time, is that we just are looking at the general aesthetic of the neighborhood. I know we're talking about square footages. The total square footages are not going to be changed dramatically based off of the footprint of these homes. We don't want to have a one-car garage next to 58 other two-car garages is really our main concern. At the end of the day, we understand that it isn't your problem, but at the end of the day, we're looking at for the community.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Before we discuss, is there anybody to speak against the variance? Which I'm pretty sure the answer is no, but just for the record, I'll ask. John, do you have something you act like you want to add something?
We were talking, I don't see where revising the bonded plat is that difficult of a process. But
Can you share that a little bit with me?
I'm not sure what Mr. Mabry's objection to that is.
Okay, I mean,
It's just a time consuming is what I meant.
Well,
The bonded plat's gotta go be approved by the town, and then it's got to go to the county.
okay,
Obviously, right now with all the development that's going on in the county, turnaround times,
but that process wouldn't stop you from being able to continue to build on the other lots that would be affected. So you still have bonded plat status. It would just, you would need to submit a revised bonded, and we would, I mean, assuming that those lines are moved and doesn't mess with a ton of your stormwater and land disturbance stuff, which I don't think it would, then it's just us signing it and sending them over to the county. It's a lot less intense than starting the bonded plat process. So you've already got a bonded plat at this point. You're just changing
Changing
some
a line.
property lines, and that's a lot less intensive than when you initially get bonded plat for that phase. It wouldn't, I mean, you're not changing lot numbers or anything like that, it's just lines. You don't have to go back before planning commission. So it's just, it's not as intensive as whenever you begin the bonded plat status. And you can still continue to convey homes and build off of your current bonded plat status, just I wouldn't do anything with the ones that are being affected.
Okay.
thank you.
We'll discuss. Any thoughts? I mean, I think we've kind of talked about it already, but.
Yeah,
What are
no.
your thoughts, Justin?
I mean, it just sounds like so they can build the two-car garage, which I'm assuming will fetch a higher price than the others, and,
Can't consider that.
yeah, it's not, the use of the property is not something we can consider, so.
No, I think that option actually probably makes a lot of sense as far as just having it.
So where we stand right now, and correct me if I'm wrong, John, if we choose to go ahead, if we go ahead and vote, is there an advantage at this point to suggest to the applicant to table this while they go through that process, or should we go ahead and address this?
I think you need to go ahead and address it.
Okay. All right. Do I have a motion on, and let me get this straight, Jessica and John, it is, what I write down is 2023-7 and 2023-8, is that correct?
2024-1
4.
and 2024-2, sorry.
Again, another one of my mistakes.
Okay.
All right. I'd like to make a motion to deny variances 2024-1 and 2024-2.
Okay, I have a motion to deny variances 2024-7 and 2024-8. Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a second. Call for a roll call vote?
Yes to the motion.
Yes to the motion?
Yes to the motion.
You got to speak up.
Yes to the motion.
It's the microphone. The microphone doesn't make a whisper or scream. I'm sorry, we've denied your motion. All right, what's next, John?
Alicia Walton with Springfield Sign. Okay.
As I say, I'm sorry if your mother named you Alicia. I've heard of a boy named Sue, but you made it a little farther.
This gentleman is requesting several variances from the sign ordinance for the Outback Steakhouse under construction at 5595 Sunset Boulevard. The sign ordinance allows the site to have 2 signs with a total square footage of 150 square feet. The applicant is seeking variances to allow the site to have 6 signs with 475.56 total square feet. The ordinance also limits the size of the wall signs to no more than 10% of the wall area of the wall the sign is attached to. All 5 of the proposed wall signs exceed this allowance. To approve the submitted sign proposal, the applicant will need 3 variances. 1 variance is needed to exceed the total number of signs for the site. A second variance is needed to exceed the total square footage of signage for the site. And a third variance is to allow all 5 wall signs to exceed the sign limitation for the wall they are attached to.
Okay, any questions for staff?
No questions for staff.
And since you're not Alicia, you are,
James Slice.
hello, Mr. Slice.
We're just kind of curious, where did the wall signage measurement come from? They have the east elevation at 28 foot, 0.35 and the 10 foot max at height. And when we measure wall for signs, it'll be the whole distance of the front wall. And on our east elevation, we'd have roughly 73 foot by 22 foot high, 73 foot long.
Have you read our sign ordinance?
No, I would just kind of throw it into this
Okay,
today.
so, yeah, that's fine. So
Because
you asked me.
she couldn't make it down.
Yeah. You asked me a question, I'm going to answer it.
Okay.
And this one, I think I'm right. Please correct me if I'm wrong. Our sign ordinance doesn't go across a building. If it's a flat-faced building, that's
Okay.
but any, what's the word we use? Any wall area, when you start bringing extensions out,
Okay.
that's where the wall starts, that's where the wall stops.
All right, that's different than a lot of them.
It's to the wall it is attached to.
Yeah, it's the wall, distance of the wall that it's attached to.
Okay,
It's the first story of the wall area that it's attached to. So we cap the height of that wall area for the first story at 10 foot because building code states that a first story is usually 9 to 10 feet in
Right.
commercial. So we cap it at 10 feet for the height, and then it would be the width of the wall area that it is attached to.
okay. I understand that.
Okay, so, and again, so that's how that comes in. You're not the first person that has asked that question.
Okay,
So
that's
that's why I
very
was
different
somewhat
than other
confident
places. Yeah.
in answering your question. So there's the first question you had, is how we figured it, so.
You know, and I think they're just trying to get it so it would look right. You know, you gotta, if you go with, I think they propose, y'all said, let me go right here. Like the east elevation would be the biggest sign that you can have is a 28 foot sign, 28 square foot. And basically, you know, it's not gonna look proportionate to the building or anything on that. And, you know, like if you're coming up towards Lexington from West Columbia side, coming in, you got the Tractor Supply sign that's there. It's kind of blocked the view. It's kind of big there, their monument sign.
I'm sorry, a 4-foot monument sign is bigger than the sign on the side of the top of a
No,
building?
it's coming up the road. When you're coming up the road, it'll block your view if you're in a car, if you're driving.
Okay,
And
but you
same
have a
way-
monument sign as well,
Yeah.
correct?
Yeah, yes, sir,
Okay.
we will. And like I say, and coming back from Lexington towards Columbia, you got the trees and everything that's behind it. That's just really gonna block the view going but the other way.
Okay.
Uh.
And that's on your east elevation, you're referring to your east and
Yes,
your
sir,
north?
the east elevation, which would be facing the road.
East is the sunset side.
Yeah, so basically what we're looking at, if you're on the drawings here, Dawn, is this is going to be the east,
Okay,
and this is the north elevation here.
okay,
This would be the south, and this would be the west.
okay.
Being that you have just been put into this, you were not part of any of the discussion had with the town when they were, because this was brought, y'all discussed it, they came and talked to you upstairs, correct?
Alicia did.
Alicia did. Okay, so you're not aware of any of the discussions?
No, sir, I'm not.
Okay.
And we're talking about the maps, and the maps is, you know, it's really not a sign. It just has no branding or no lighting on it. It's kind of just like an artwork that they're putting on the wall.
Yeah, you're putting on the back of the building.
Right. One,
So I'm sorry, I'm gonna have to object a little bit to that. Their own application calls it a sign.
okay.
Yeah, you cut me off before I could get there, because
Sign decor.
if you call it a sign on a piece of paper, not
That's
you,
what y'all gonna call it, okay.
then that's what it's called. It wasn't presented as artwork, and John,
It is also considered a sign with the definition of a sign in our sign ordinance. So.
Okay.
so, anything else we need to hear from you?
That's about it. I'm doing what I was told to do, man.
Trust me, we fully understand that happens quite often, and we
Right.
also understand, we've had different corporate entities
Right.
that say this is what we do.
I've been an installer for 22 years, so.
Yep. Thank you.
All right.
And again, is anyone speaking against? I don't think you're going to say anything. I'm guessing you're with Alicia. So, all right, we'll discuss.
All right.
I mean, this is very similar to what we've seen before. I mean,
Yeah.
I understand what corporate wants. I mean, it's the same thing we saw with the Sephora signs on Kohl's. But we're talking about 3 times the amount of signage.
Number and size.
And, yeah, well, again.
Sorry, I beat you to it.
That's all right.
Sorry.
That's all right.
We could drop the maps off, you know, if that would help any at all.
Okay.
I think what would be appropriate in this case is for you all to deal with the variance request in front of you. And then assuming it goes the way I think it might, we can sit down with this gentleman and try and work out a reasonable compromise.
I'll be honest with you right now, kind of like I told the gentleman before.
Yes, sir.
We've seen these several times. If this vote happened right now, I would say no to this. I can't speak to either one of them. I think my suggestion would be, either you or if Alicia is available, that if you choose to table this and come back and talk to the town, because my understanding, John, and correct me, if we vote and say no, then it's final, then you're paying another fee to come back. If we table it and have more discussion with the town, and now that you've been in front of us, and especially, see, I think somebody like you, given time, looking at the sign ordinance and understanding, I mean, you've had enough experience, you've dealt with probably crazy requests from other corporate entities that you're like, there's no way that's going to work because you know the town.
Right.
So I think if you took the time to look at because I'll be very honest, I don't think anybody else has looked at the sign ordinance because this is ludicrous based on what our ordinance is.
Right.
But I think an educated man like you who's had 22 years of experience could very easily read into that, spend some time with staff, and then maybe we come back with something worked out. Okay. So it is you need to be at the mic, but it's your, I'm sorry to get you, I feel bad because I see the scar going all the way down your leg and I keep telling you to get up.
Well, I had a knee replacement in 21. It didn't take, and I just had it done again in December, and hoping this works.
Yeah.
I hope so
Oh,
too.
wow.
And I don't mean to cut either of you off. Do
Yeah.
either of you need to add?
Nope. You're
Nothing
good.
to add.
So would you like to table this for further discussion?
Yes, sir.
Does that work for staff?
As long as it's understood that we will not address it again until there are other agenda items.
Okay, and the other 2 agenda items, I'm trying to remember, are,
We don't have anything scheduled in April, so the
I'm
earliest
sorry,
it would be addressed again would be May,
unless you come to an
unless
agreement.
we come to an agreement that meets the sign ordinance.
Yep. Okay, so thank you very much.
All right,
We won't vote on it, we'll hold it open, and you understand what John's saying, that we don't have anything for April at
Yeah,
this
y'all
point?
not coming in for Outback sign.
Well,
I understand that.
Not for a tabled one.
yeah,
Right,
so,
I understand that.
and I hope that, I really hope that you
Well,
can.
maybe Alicia, she can get down here and work this out.
Well, or I hope maybe you can share some of your knowledge and experience. And I don't mean to speak ill of somebody I don't know
Yes,
her
sir.
experience, but you strike me as somebody who doesn't do anything half-hearted and does his homework,
right.
so.
Putting up signs, you gotta respect it, because you can kill somebody if you do not do it right.
Well, thank you very much.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, worst case scenario, and
Yep.
worst case scenario, we approve a sign package that meets the ordinance, and then if they feel the need for additional signage,
They can come back.
come back for.
That's
a
also an option too.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, thank y'all.
Thank you. I appreciate you. I hope your knee takes.
Thank you very much.
Let's see you hopping and skipping next time.
Shit.
All right, need to approve the minutes from last month. A motion to approve.
I can make a motion to approve the minutes as written.
I'll second, because she wouldn't, I mean, she doesn't know if it's right or not. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All right, John, anything we need to know town-wise?
Jessica says
Jessica?
she's going to schedule training.
Yes, thank you. I want to get it done early this year.
I'm proud of you, Troy.
I said that last year, too,
You
and I came in
did.
December.
And we do not have anything scheduled for April.
Okay, thank you. Call motion to adjourn?
Second.
No, you have to make the motion. Make a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. We are adjourned.